Every anime has several major villains, and some are just better than others. Some actually have real motivation, and when they come out on the screen, you fear for our protagonist's safety. Others are merely jokes whose plan will never work out. There are also some villains we just root for, or even feel for, because they were forced in a way to be evil. It's fun to look at these villains because sometimes we just want to see what would happen if they would win. Thankfully, most of the time, they don't win, but still, it's still a fun ride to watch. This is a list of my top 10 villains from anime, so my list may be different from you. Keep in mind that this is also based off my personal views, and if yours are different, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, let's count down the top 10 villains. So Fairy Tail has a ton of villains, ranging from Hades to Deliora, but the villain I think tops them all is Zeref Dragneel. Spoilers ahead, but Zeref isn't your normal villain. You see, his path started with the death of his parents and his younger brother Natsu. Yeah, you heard me right. The Natsu we know is just a clone of the original Natsu. Zeref used magic to bring his little brother back to life, but he made him the ultimate demon, End. He also hates that he became immortal and wants to die. It's ironic because Zeref kills anyone in his way and cares little for those who do not want to help him reach his goal. He succeeded in some of his plans, but the most terrifying one he had been using was the Neo Eclipse to reset time and start the world over again. But it was a ton of fun to watch him until the end. Don't get me wrong, Zeref was a bad guy, but he was also the lover of Mavis, so how evil can this guy really be? Like really, who could be this big evil bad guy and end up with someone as pure as Mavis? He was driven to be evil because he wanted to save his brother, and in the end, he ends up becoming what he hated. He created more issues in the world by some of his selfish acts. That is why he isn't going to be any higher on this list for me. Just saying now spoilers for Black Clover, because I'm gonna talk about Rane's Devil. So Rane's Devil is the reason why Licht and the elves were killed, and used reincarnation magic to bring the elves back to continue his plan. He twisted the mind of Patole so much that he planned on killing all humans, because at the moment of his death, he believes that Lamiel, the first wizard king, killed them all. This devil also corrupted Licht to the point that he had to stop using the magic stones to transform his body into the giant demon at the start of each episode to stop the demon from fully possessing him. This devil continued to look for a body, and if it wasn't for Asta and his anti-magic, his plans could have been successful, entering the Clover Kingdom and destroying it. But the devil and Asta's Grimoire may be something we need to watch out for. Bungo Stray Dogs is a rather interesting anime with about 5 main villains, but I want to focus on a group of villains. The guild has to be the hardest opponent that our main group has had to face. If you haven't watched the anime, all the main good guys are named after famous Japanese authors with their powers named after one of their works. Don't get me wrong, the Port Mafia is a close second, but when the guild came to town, our main crew teamed up with the Mafia to beat the hell out of them back. Now, the guild's naming scheme is using American authors' names using their works as well. They are led by Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald, whose power is called the Great Fitzgerald, a play on the Great Gatsby. His power is the more money that he spends, the more powerful he becomes, and that is a power that he uses to get great effect. He schemes always to get more money, even when he is beaten by Astucci. Then you have Howard Phillips Lovecraft, the father of modern horror, and his power doesn't disappoint neither. His power, the Great Old Ones, allows Lovecraft to transform his whole body into a Cthulhu-like monster. Even when he is destroyed from the inside out, he is still able to regenerate. Also worth mentioning is John Steinbeck and his power, the Grapes of Wrath. When he and Lovecraft try to kidnap Naomi and Kirako, his ability using the fawn around him to capture them was terrifying. If you want to do a top 10 character from this anime, leave a comment below and tell me which one you used. Father from Fullmetal Alchemist was one of the most terrifying villains out of Fullmetal Alchemist, created by using the blood of Van Hohenheim to create the homunculus and the flask, as this black ball preyed on Hohenheim to get what he wanted by giving him and naming him, and challenging Hohenheim to learn how to read and write. He tricks the man who summoned him into creating a transmutation circle, claiming it would grant this man immortality. In reality, he was planning to sacrifice all of Xerxes' population except for Hohenheim, who he considers as a brother. In fact, to achieve this goal of being able to walk on my own 2 feet, Father sacrificed over 1 million people. Unlike Hohenheim, who was disturbed by the sound of the people crying out in pain after they had been sacrificed for their immortality, Father feels nothing. In fact, in that moment, both men became living Philosopher's Stones. Father then proceeds to create more homunculi by getting rid of his human emotions. These are based off of Father's 7 basic vices that are created from his own Philosopher's Stone. He uses these 7 homunculi to go out into the world and do his work. He, of course, isn't at all loyal to them, shows when he abandons his son, Pride, and enhances to resupply the stone on his own body. What's even scarier about him is that he doesn't hate humans, but he sees them as something he can use as a sacrifice to get what he wants. He was a great villain, and you gotta feel for Hohenheim because of their connection. You can see how 2 men with the same power can turn out so differently, and I love it. So if you watch me, you know I love SAO. It's one of my favorite animes of all time. So in making this list, I wanted to choose one that was just the next level, and that had to be Death Gun. Death Gun is a group of 3 people who could break into people's apartments and kill them after they faced off against the Death Gun avatar on Gun Gale Online. It was 2 brothers who took succinylmethonium chloride from their father hospital. This would cause heart failure, and all these killings started out as a joke that these 2 brothers kept talking about and decided they could get away with it. The brothers are Shinkawa Shoichi and Shinkawa Kyoji. They later are inviting Kanemoto Atsushi to help them carry out their crimes. I know this is going to sound crazy if I choose a Roman Catholic priest. Of course, I'm talking about Alexander Anderson from Hellsing and Hellsing Ultimate, the total antagonist for Alucard. Anderson always is ready to fight. Even though Alucard hasn't shown any aggression towards humans and is under the command of Integra Hellsing, Anderson just wants them dead. He hates Alucard in all forms of vampires. Ironically, when we first see Father Anderson, he is reprimanding a child saying that violence is never the answer, except when used against heathens and monsters. This just means if you disagree with Anderson's point of view on anything, you better run because he may end up killing you. Also, he is Irish, so it makes it all the better on the delivery of his lines. My Hero Academia has so many amazing villains, but we got to talk about the biggest bad all for one. This is a man who has no issue kidnapping children or adults to steal their quirk. He is also 100 years plus, and no one really has taken him down before All Might. Even then, All Might lost everything after they clashed for the first time. He can choose whatever quirk he wants to use at that moment, making him almost invincible. He is also a true psychopath who feels the need to collect as many quirks as he possibly can. He even forces his own brother, who appeared quirkless, to have a quirk that he stole. Naruto has a lot of people I could choose from, but one stands out from everyone else. I think you guys know who it is. Madara Uchiha. We knew about Madara long ago before he appeared in the manga or the anime, and his presence was always felt. I mean, we had Madara hyped up for almost 7.5 years before we even saw him outside of a flashback. How many villains can rewrite their own death as Madara did? Using the Izanagi, Madara sacrificed the vision in his right eye to come back to life to keep on fighting. So Madara wanted to bring peace to the world with his plan, Eye of the Moon plan. He manipulated Obito, placing him on the Forbidden Individual curse tag, using Obito to gain more power to get his peace. He wanted total control because he sees the world as a horrible place and he wants to mold it into his version of heaven. He doesn't care who he kills, friend, foe, or even family. Sosuke Aizen is an amazing written character out of Bleach. This is a man we are introduced to as a kind, soft-spoken captain. We think early in the Soul Society arc that he somehow was murdered by Gin. Even his lieutenant Momo freaks out and tries to attack Gin. But this was Aizen's plan to begin with. He wanted to show distrust among the ranks of the Soul Reapers. His act is finally broken though when he stabs Momo, after she tries to give him a hug. This is a man who just uses those people around him to gain power and then throws them away when he's done with them. This is clearly shown when the backstory of the Vizards come to light, showing that Aizen created the Vizard when trying to find a way to control hollows. It was a failed experiment to him, but it destroyed 8 different lives because these Soul Reapers were kicked out of the Soul Society because of fear. He knew of Ichigo since his birth and guided events in his life to make sure that Ichigo would be able to be an unwitting pawn in his game. He knew that he needed the power that Ichigo held to achieve his ultimate goal, becoming a butterfly. Okay, I kid, but seriously, Aizen was such an amazing villain. Why did his ultimate form look like a flippin' butterfly? Still though, Ichigo has to give everything to defeat Aizen. But he's not dead. He's just tied up like Hannibal Lecter underneath the Soul Society. So it's no secret, one of my favorite animes of all time is Yu Yu Hakusho, and it was just hard to choose one villain from that show. I went with Sensui, aka Black Angel. He was a spirit detective before Yusuke. His worldview was shattered when he crashed a feast of human vices, witnessing the Black Club torturing a demon. This break with his moral code leads him down the path to insanity, resulting in his dissociative identity disorder. I mean, we first meet him through a psychic reading, and all we hear in Sensui's mind is, "I kill them all." Then he kills the men reading his mind. This is a villain who has 7 different personalities, all bending to destroying the world because he can. He was a man who was much like Yusuke, but ends up mentally being destroyed. He wanted to destroy the world he once protected by destroying the barrier between the human and the demon world. He just lost faith in humanity because of the horrors he saw, and he couldn't believe that there was anyone worth saving. Alright, those are my top 10 anime villains. I would love to see yours down in the comments below. Let me know if you agree with me at all on some of these, or if you have any more, let me know as well. Is there a series you feel has a stronger villain in it that I didn't talk about? Leave them in the comments below as well. If I like it enough, I may end up making a video for it. I hope you guys are enjoying the 31 days of anime though here on Mystic Sage. If you are, why not subscribe with notifications on, that way you don't miss an upload. Anyways, I'm Mystic Sage, you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.